Are Texas Tech and BYU actually dominating football, both on the field and in NIL, I guess, and in recruiting? Or is that just what the government wants you to think? This is Locked On Big 12.
You are Locked On Big 12, your daily podcast on the Big 12 Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome into Locked On Big 12. I'm Drake Toll from America's #1 Big 12 podcast, Locked On Big 12. Thank you for making this show your first listen every single day. Yeah, I think they kind of are. I think Texas Tech and BYU have set themselves apart from most of the rest of the conference. And the reason why is pretty simple. We will start there. And then Paul Finebaum got fired by ESPN. And look, we can talk about why it happened a little bit. I don't really care why it happened. I think it's ultimately good for the Big 12 conference. Finally, the Texas Longhorns, time for them to come back. Just bring them back to the Big 12 at this point. They are going to have a miserable existence in the SEC. We have proven that. If you hit subscribe, I get to keep my job. Look, here's the deal, man. Where we have gotten in the Big 12 this season is, so I host a show called Locked On Big 12. Okay. Can I say something to you? I host a show called Locked On Big 12. At this point, my entire job, my entire paycheck revolves around mostly giving the props to the Big 12 conference teams that are propping up this league. The Big 12 conference storylines that are propping up this league. One of those is not necessarily Oklahoma State being possibly 1-11 or 2-10 or whatever. I'm going to cover Oklahoma State, but in depth. You're going to get a good portion of Utah or Cincinnati, BYU, Texas Tech, Iowa State, the TCU, Baylor. I mean, there are still plenty of teams in contention for the Big 12 conference. And I want to talk about two of them that have gotten a lot of the spotlight recently. And I've been thinking in the shower, why? Why are we talking so much about BYU? Why are we talking so much about Texas Tech? The country wants you to know, BYU and Texas Tech, they're the stalwarts of America. They're the ones, the Big 12, who have the future in their hands. And I was like, maybe? And then it's yeah. First and foremost, their class of 2026, they both lead the Big 12 conference. BYU, 20 commits. One of them, Ryder Lyons, is one of the top quarterbacks, if not the top quarterback in all of college football. Texas Tech's got a 5-star from their 20 commits, number 22 and 23 classes in the country. The only two Big 12 teams with a top 25 class in 2026. Baylor at 30, TCU at 34, Houston 36, Kansas 37, Arizona 39, Utah 40, and West Virginia 41. Those are all good. Even Arizona State and Iowa State at 44 and 45. We've got a majority of the conference in a world where there are 70-ish power football teams. We have a conference that is dominating the top 45, especially from 20 to 45, from that range. The Big 12 is in there like swimwear. But ultimately, it's BYU and Texas Tech that keep coming up at the top of these conversations. It's BYU and Texas Tech that for some reason are beating everybody else in this conference at recruiting, at NIL, at the ability to dominate the transfer portal and bring in guys. If you're at BYU, bring in guys from Utah. And guess what? I've got a very simple solution for you. Yes, you. To have the exact same thing as these two. To have the dominant defensive line that Texas Tech has. To have the Jack Kelly types, the Ryder Lyon types that BYU has. AJ DeBanza. The secret, you ready? Pay the money. Pay the money. Look, Joey McGuire, great recruiter. He can walk into any kid's living room in the state of Texas, which is a really good state to recruit, and say, I coached the same level of ball that you're playing right now. Come play for me at Texas Tech. We're going to do it the old school, old-fashioned way. And it would probably work on me. I'd probably play for Joey McGuire. And then he'd say, by the way, we'll give you, 18-year-old, $400,000, which is $200,000 more than Alabama wants to give you right now, or Georgia wants to give you, because they won't dole that out for a kid in high school. They'll only dole that out for a kid who's proved themselves in college and comes through the transfer portal. For BYU, they have completely transformed the way they recruit. Now, they also walk into a living room and say, hey, we are members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. If you're not, that's fine. You can be Jewish. You can be Baptist. Come play football for us. We want you to be a part of a great culture, but we're not going to ask you to assimilate to our faith. We're going to ask you to assimilate to our standards, to our rules. But that's no different than I couldn't drink alcohol on campus at Baylor. We just didn't sell alcohol on campus. Like, there are rules that are put in place by universities that you have to abide by when you sign up to play for the football program. But at the root of these things, culture is very important, because money isn't getting Texas a national championship. Money isn't getting Florida State a national championship. Money didn't get Alabama into the college football playoff this year. And these are schools that have more money than BYU or Texas Tech. But what culture and money can do is build the perfect roster and build a winning roster. And what I think the Big 12 has a leg up on the SEC with is development and culture. We have had to win. Bill Snyder at Kansas State, Mike Gundy at Oklahoma State, Gary Patterson at TCU. We have had to win in the Big 12 conference against Texas, against Oklahoma, with culture and the ability to develop 2-star players into 5-star college football players, 2-star high schoolers into 5-star college football players, NFL caliber athletes. That's the story of the Big 12. And now when you link that with money and you start giving us 4 stars, well, we already have the development that, we already have the developmental skills to take the 2-star to 5-star. So shouldn't we be able to take the 4-star to a gajillion star? That's what's happening now. But your school might be falling behind these two. If you're Baylor, if you're TCU, if you're a school who's struggling to fill the seats, put butts in seats, you might be falling behind these two because your rich donors don't care enough. Because your rich donors are still building the new practice facility. Kids don't care about that anymore. They don't care about the cool new hot tub. They care about money in their own pocket. Where the Big 12 and a lot of its member institutions going wrong, it's not giving the money to the kids and then utilizing the culture and the development around them to make sure that they stay there. BYU, let's not act like the BYU and Texas Tech are the only 2 schools with rich alum. The owner of the Houston Astros, the former owner of the Houston Astros, went to Baylor. The single most famous person on this planet, her fiance played at Cincinnati. You know, like, we've got Dave Portnoy buying quarterbacks for people. You can do the same thing. It's just a matter of putting the money and the resources in the right spots in the players' pockets. And your rich donors doing so. Because every single school has some billionaire floating out there. And the second you're like, hey, dog, billionaire guy, could you spot us, a few $1 million? He could do it and transform you overnight. Paul Finebaum got fired, by the way. Which is like good for the Big 12. Locked on Big 12. Today's show, it's brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is exactly where I go to win money. I love the idea that I can go on Prize Picks, pick more or less on some player prop, and from there, I could just usually watch the money roll on in. And I put a couple of these together, and I say, hey, I think Josh Allen will go over passing yards, and Saquon Barkley will rush for a touchdown. And bam, I'm in the game. I love how quick it is. You can make your lineup in under a minute. Favorite part? Prize Picks added stacks. So if I want to ride with a player, I can select their pass yards, rush yards, and touchdowns all in one lineup. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONCollege for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. And you can be right with Prize Picks today. Paul Finebaum was fired, in essence, by ESPN. War is over. War is over. This is Pete Nakos confirmed with On3 that Finebaum is effectively done with ESPN. They're not allowing him on any of the shows anymore. And he basically just is being blacklisted by the channel. And Clay Travis, who's a very, I'm learning some of these names for the first time. Clay Travis, Outkick, I guess is like a controversial figure, is very upset with this. And I think Clay Travis had him on a show. And next thing you know, ESPN doesn't want to use Paul Finebaum because Finebaum said he probably wanted to run for office and be in politics. And look, can I say this first? Stephen A. Smith, I think, has said in the future he may want to run for office. People say that stuff all the time. I don't think at the base level of this, a human being deserves to be blacklisted by their job for saying, I want to run for office and represent our country or get votes from human beings. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. I don't care if you're the Green Party or the Tea Party or whatever the parties are. If you say, I want to run for politics, your job shouldn't be like, you know what? No more for you. That's all I'll say on the political side of this, because I don't really care. I'm about as apolitical as it gets. I host the sports show. Here's the deal, though. War is over. This is a guy who has made his paycheck for years off of bashing the Big 12 conference, off of bashing the little man. This is a guy who has stood up and called the Big 12 conference the minor league, JV, saying the Big 12 just, in essence, doesn't necessarily belong to the highest levels of college football. And the SEC is so much bigger and badder than the ACC. The SEC and then everyone else is his direct quote. Belittling Oklahoma State. Repeatedly being like, you know what? Oklahoma State is irrelevant in the national picture, regardless of their ranking or success. What about a couple years ago when they almost made the college football playoff? Loves to use terms like hick or trailer park, generalizing about fan bases across the country from Michigan to the Big 12, non-SEC schools. He goes on his show, the Paul Finebaum show. I don't even know the Paul Finebaum show is a thing anymore. He goes on his show, and he's talking about how the SEC is going to have to strong arm the college football playoff. And if the college football playoff doesn't allow more SEC teams, then they'll pay. Oh, they'll pay. Like, what kind of weird empty threat is this for someone who is supposed to represent the nation's largest media holder in college football? Someone who's supposed to represent ESPN, who holds the rights to the biggest games that you see every weekend. And a spokesperson for them, I don't care if you're a spokesperson for the SEC with SEC Network, a spokesperson for the ESPN family before anything else, says stuff all the time that's just bad. That's just wrong. That is a disgrace to the coverage ESPN is trying to put out because of the propaganda he's spewing. Have you watched that show? You know, like, I host Locked On Big 12, okay? But I can admit to you the SEC's better by and large at football than the Big 12 conference. I don't mind doing that. It's okay. I can say that. And I know, like, I'm right. The SEC's better, and that's fine. The Big 10's probably better, and that's fine. The Big 12's deeper. But Paul Finebaum can't admit things. For some reason, there's this stop in his brain where he just thinks, I've got to drive the propaganda machine. I've got to drive the propaganda. And losing a voice like that in college football is overall good for college football. Someone sold out for the money. They sold their soul for the money. The local radio host who had a funny show where the people would call into the show got a little bit too big and started saying things that just didn't make college football look good. Started saying things that are killing partners of ESPN, like the Big 12 is a partner of ESPN. Called TCU's national championship appearance a joke. TCU beats Michigan, who would go on to win the championship the year following. They beat Michigan to go to the title game, and granted, yeah, no doubt, that title game didn't go very well for the Big 12 conference. But the second the TCU beat up on a Big 10 team, beat up on one of the country's top 5 teams, Finebaum says, oh, they're in the championship? What a joke. I mean, no, they deserved it. They went and they beat Michigan. He's called other leagues embarrassments to the sport. Big 12 or ACC team loses in the playoff or a bowl game, it's an embarrassment all of a sudden. Oh, embarrassment. There's no SEC teams could be embarrassed. The SEC not making the college football playoff championship 2 years in a row. That's certainly not embarrassing. It's just the way the tide rolls in and out. Finebaum has openly mocked the stability of media deals, the ACC and Big 12. Yeah, I get it. Clemson and Florida State, that's a pretty unstable deal. But the Big 12 conference, we're on lock, buddy. Even if the rogue Utah fans are saying they want to leave and go to the Big 10, we're on lock. Haven't played anyone. Ever heard that from him? Oh, they haven't played anyone. Who has Texas played? I asked this question on this show a couple days ago. Who has Tennessee played? Anybody? Will they play anybody by beating Arkansas this week in Knoxville? I like to ask that question about plenty of the SEC schools. Who have they played? And he's called coaches clowns, comedians, comical geniuses if they're not in the Big 12 conference. That's the guy. Karma's a real thing, man. Like, karma will come back and bite you. And you have spent years spewing, in essence, hate toward everyone but the people who pay you. You have been a propaganda machine against what we love, what the everyday man loves about college football for years. And oh no, the second that you say, hey, I want to run for office, I don't think this was necessarily just the run for office thing. I think ESPN was thinking, oh, yeah, good. Okay. Wow. Well, he is a valued employee, one of our favorites. And now he's running for office. Must fire him. No, this is more of a, oh, wow, finally, the last straw. We have an excuse to fire the guy, to blacklist the guy who has been tearing down our product from the Big 12 for years, tearing down our product in the ACC for years, the guy that doesn't get the ratings that he used to, the guy that's kind of going by the wayside in college football. And that's it. Like, nobody's watching this show in the afternoon on the SEC network anymore. Do we really need this guy? We're wasting money on this guy. So I don't know if it even is political at the end of the day. I think at some point you just kind of get fired. And for the Big 12, great. ESPN just lost another pundit that was making this conference look bad when this conference doesn't deserve to look bad, when this conference is doing everything right, when this conference is winning this year at a really strong level, deserves 5, 6 ranked teams in the top 25. But nope. Paul Finebaum says that they're an embarrassment to the sport. Don't deserve anything. How's that working out for Paul Finebaum? Coming up, Texas. Speaking of the SEC, it's time to come on home, buddy. Locked on Big 12. Today's show is brought to you by Game Time. Game Time's where I go, man. I wanted to go see Tyler Childers' concert a couple of weeks ago. It was in Queens, New York. I flew into Newark, and I said, all right, I want to go see Tyler Childers here in Queens, New York. And it was super cheap. I was from me to him, 20 feet, 15 feet, all thanks to Game Time. Super cheap. You can also get college football tickets to be 20 feet away from the players and the action. Couldn't be more excited about the deals that Game Time gives you. I use Game Time and the Game Time app that gives the advantage back to the fans. Easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices as well. Pull up Game Time, couple tabs, amazing deals. I'm talking about your favorite college football games as low as $25. Faster, cheaper, less stressful than any app that I've used to buy tickets. Use my code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off your first purchase when you download the Game Time app. Terms apply. Again, promo code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off on the Game Time app. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time and do it today. Today's show is also brought to you by Square. Square keeps my neighborhood alive. There's a little place called Molly Maguire's on Wilmington Island, Georgia, where I live just outside of Savannah and right near the island of Tybee. And Molly Maguire's is a great little restaurant. They got these like fried potato spuds. It's like chip and they fry it. Unreal. And my friendly neighborhood business, Molly Maguire's, runs on Square. When I go to pay, stick my card in that little Square machine and bam, my neighborhood stays alive. Molly Maguire's is the best. It's the kind of place you walk in and everyone knows your name, and Square keeps them going. Square's a proud partner of more than 4 million neighborhood businesses around the world. Go to square.com/go/LockedOnCollege to learn more. But before you do, go support your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy you did. Square, see you in the neighborhood with Square. Texas, back to the Big 12. Done with the SEC. Gone are the days the mighty Longhorns could win the Southeastern Conference. They are outside of the top 25, and it only took a year and a half, less than a year and a half, for Texas to tuck its tail between its legs and say, you know what? Hand up, we're done. We probably aren't cut out for this. And when they lose to Oklahoma this weekend, it's going to be reiterated that somehow the Sooners, who were bad in the Big 12 in their last season of the Big 12 Conference, somehow those very same Sooners are going to walk into Dallas and beat Texas and prove that they were the true winners of this. Daniel from Groesbeck, Brian from Coppell. What if we go to Jim from Killeen, Kara from Cuero? I'm getting into like a alliteration thing now. You think they were all excited, okay? Daryl out of Anna, Texas, says, wow, can't believe the Longhorns are going to the mighty SEC. This is going to be great for me. I'm going to get to watch great college football every single weekend. Hook 'em horns. And we're going to make millions and millions of more dollars. So my question is, Kara, Daniel, Stephen, did you see a dime? Did you see a dime of that money? The $20 extra million a year in the SEC, the Lamborghinis the players get, Arch Manning, the last name Manning being at quarterback. Did you get to have the last name Manning? Did you get a Lamborghini? Of that $20 million, did you at least get $100K? Because now your viewing experience of Texas football is so much worse than it was. Congrats on your best win, UTEP. 27-10. Is that what you want to hang your hat on? You might just lose to Mississippi State and Kentucky. I can't promise you a win against Vanderbilt. Now, here's what you might be saying. Well, isn't this just diluting the Big 12? Doesn't this just mean the Big 12 is worse? No, I want to give you a case here. Number one, I do think the SEC is better at football than the Big 12, and by and large, most seasons you'll have a decently okay schedule in the Southeastern Conference, but maybe a little bit more okay schedule in the Big 12. And for some reason, Texas is making a schedule that's not that hard look hard in the Southeastern Conference. So yeah, the SEC is better at football. You have a stronger shot as Texas to win the Big 12 championship. But for Texas' last 15 years in the Big 12 conference, they won less than Baylor. Less Big 12 titles than the little Baptist school in Waco. Baylor. So I can't even guarantee you would win a college football playoff game as a Big 12 team. I can't guarantee you would go to the college football playoff as a Big 12 team. I can tell you your schedule would probably be a little bit easier, but I cannot promise you anything. Because Texas, man, there's just something in the culture that's not getting it done. That's not right. Arch Manning is struggling, mightily struggling right now. I talked to Mac Brown a couple weeks ago, and he's got confidence that's similar to Vince Young. Arch Manning will find it. But my question is when? And the upcoming schedule for Texas, they didn't even get a hard slate here. They didn't even get a hard slate. Oklahoma started the year. It should have been outside of the top 25, as bad as they were last season, and they've proven to be decent. Kentucky, Mississippi State, Vanderbilt, Arkansas. Yeah, I don't have any pity for you. Because you had a pretty easy slate. And I remember you losing to Baylor or TCU in your last couple of years in the Big 12 or Oklahoma State. I remember those games for Texas. I remember the way you lost in this conference, saying that you were the big dog, you were the bell cow. And then you won the league. Yeah, you won the league going out. But for this, to be outside of the top 25, not only to be outside of the top 25, but still be bragging, look how much money we made. And what you've done is diluted college football. You've diluted the product of college football by leaving the Big 12. We're no longer going to have our fun regional rivalries. We don't get to see Baylor and Texas, Texas Tech and Texas. We don't get to see even TCU and Texas, which TCU and the Horned Frogs under Gary Patterson dominated the Longhorns. We don't get those games. Now we get classics like Texas, Kentucky, Texas and Vanderbilt, or UT and Georgia. Ah, yes, the old rivalries. You've diluted the product of college football and its regionality. And more so than that, you keep screaming at me that this is all about money. But that money is something that you don't get. And instead, in exchange for 3 new letters, you'll be allowed to see Texas lose even more every single weekend. The expectations be even higher because they're in the SEC, and next year they'll be top 10 preseason because Texas reloaded the roster. They have NFL caliber talent all over the place. And I think right now the best team in the Longhorn State is in Lubbock. You would lose to Texas Tech. You wouldn't know what to do with the Texas Tech defensive line. But that money, right? The new hot tub they got? Oh, did you see the expense? DKR is getting a little bit better? Oh, wow. It's already, I don't think college football is built on being able to sit in the rafters, in the nosebleeds of DKR and look across the way and see 17 skyscrapers. If that's the version of college football you love, then you don't know college football, because it's not it. My version is not going to LA and seeing a team play in the middle of a concrete jungle, going to Pitt and seeing a team play in an NFL stadium. My version is Ames, Iowa. My version is Knoxville, Tennessee, is Oxford, Mississippi. My version is not what Texas gives you. They don't give you the true college football game day experience. And buddy, I've burned down 6th Street a few times. Buford's a great bar. But it's not what college football is. Like, Texas losing is good for the sport at this point, because Texas doesn't represent the everyman. Texas doesn't represent Jim from Groesbeck. That guy might as well just go be an A&M fan. Might as well just go be a TCU fan, a Baylor fan. Go support he might as well go support Axtell on a Friday night and go watch those Longhorns, because it's a better football product. When we talk about what's beautiful and quintessential in the sport on the gridiron. Texas just lost sight of that. They got too flashy. They wanted the money. They wanted to give the kids Lamborghinis. You go to Axel, they're not giving them Lamborghinis. They're probably running the trap tee, spinning that thing around and throwing the ball maybe twice a game. And it rocks. You go to Liberty Hill. It's not very far. You'll watch them run it. The double wing, And that is so much better for college football, so much better for football when we have the small town teams, the college towns that do it the right way. Texas said, we want the money. We're going to the SEC. And now what? You lost to 1-3 Florida? 1-3 Florida. Lost to an Ohio State team that do you think they're number one? Do you? Are they good? Yeah, but you had 7 points, boss. What are we doing here? I think the University of Texas Longhorns fell victim to the same thing the USC Trojans did. The lust for money. The want for money. In the end, you're just going to lose. And your fan base cannot see you have an opportunity to win the same way you had the opportunity to win in a conference like the Big 12, where everyone was pretty even, where a whole lot of schools were pretty even. And so if you wanted more money, okay. But just understand as a fan, you didn't see that. You didn't get a dime. And it doesn't help you anything other than watching your team lose at a more frequent rate. So good. At this point, come back. Come on back, man. So we can just keep beating you. Because that's all, the last 15 years, that's really all I saw from Texas. Was just the Big 12 beating you. And I miss it. I miss having the opportunity for Texas to come to town and watch Iowa State whip up on the Longhorns. TCU whip up on the Longhorns. That's why I want you back. And we'll give you the same money you get everybody else. That everybody else gets, that we give everybody else. We'll give you that same money. I am more than happy to see what's happening in Austin, Texas right now, and not shocked in the slightest. And 2 of the worst officiating calls of all time helped you win a playoff game last year. Arizona State won the game. We go back and oop, was a catch, wasn't a catch. Officials just don't know what they're doing. What's new, though? Nothing's new under the sun. The SEC is supposed to win, right? They're supposed to be the big bad boys. They're the ones that have all the PR. Congrats, Texas. Hook 'em. This has been, it always will be, Locked On. Thanks for making it your first listen every single day. Dose Grande.